ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا ثم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. يقول سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنه من عبادنا المؤمنين ثم أغرقنا الآخرين وإن من شيعته لإبراهيم إذ جاء ربه بقلب سليم إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ماذا تعبدون أئفكا آلهة دون الله تريدون فما ظنكم برب العالمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمين يا رب العالمين. Today inshallah ta'ala, as the season of Hajj is pretty much upon us, I wanted to share something about Ibrahim alayhi salam and remind myself of it and all of you of it. Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam on many occasions. The one occasion that I want to share with you, just some things Allah shares with us about Ibrahim alayhi salam, is from Surah Al-Safat. This is Surah number 37 of the Quran. And in it, Allah Azza wa Jalla first talks about Nuh alayhi salam. And the ayat I read before you are the conclusion of the story of Nuh alayhi salam, in which Allah rescued Nuh alayhi salam and those who truly worshipped Allah with him, and He drowned everybody else. And then immediately He says, وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ. And from his same line of thinking is Ibrahim alayhi salam. The word line of thinking or group or association here used is the word Shia. And Shaya'a in Arabic is when people follow somebody and they want to be just like them. And they want to affiliate with them in their behavior and their actions. And they see themselves as one and they see anybody outside of that as another. In other words, they identify with this person, they become a Shia with them. And the word in it includes meanings of support and loyalty. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that Nuh alayhi salam, the message he had, Ibrahim alayhi salam was loyal to that message. That something of that message was passed down generation after generation after generation, and Ibrahim alayhi salam was able to take the pure of that and hold on to it, so he showed loyalty to the message of Islam from the time of Nuh alayhi salam. And these two are thousands of years apart, but still, Allah Azza wa Jalla says that loyalty was maintained. But then Allah starts describing Ibrahim alayhi salam's own journey himself. So many unique things Allah says about Ibrahim alayhi salam that aren't said about anybody else in the Quran. After all, the Quran talks about so many prophets, and it talks about so many of their legacies and their struggles. But something happens when Allah talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam. It's just different. It's not like anybody else. Allah Azza wa Jalla calls him an ummah, for example. Nobody else has been called an ummah. No other prophet has been called an ummah. And ummah, as you know, commonly translates as a nation. Kana ummah then. Ibrahim alayhi salam by himself was a nation. What does that mean? Scholars have thought about that one matter. Was his iman so great that it could be compared to the iman of an entire nation? Is that what Allah means? Was it that he himself, ummah means also from leadership, that he was a profound leader, so much so that he was considered not just an imam but an ummah leadership itself, because one of the meanings of the word ummah is leadership. So it's as though when you think about leadership, you should think about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Is that the case? And of course his leadership is the one that leads to the building of the Kaaba. And his leadership is the one that still, even our Messenger ﷺ is commanded to take note of. فَاتَّبِعْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. You, even the Messenger, is told, hold on, follow the legacy, the nation of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Others say that human beings, they live in nations. We live in nations. And when we live in nations, it's because we live in societies, those are formulations of nations, where we depend on each other. I can't do everything by myself. I need to go to the grocery store to get the milk. So somebody else is working on producing the milk. Somebody else is working on getting it to the store. Somebody else is working on the cash register. And we need everybody. We need each other. We can't function without each other. Somebody else is operating the traffic lights on the streets, you know? So us as a people, we cannot survive. Allah made society in a way that human beings depend on one another. You depend on the one that, you know, the electricity company and the people working there to get the electricity in your home. You depend on the gas station to get the gas in your car, etc., etc. There's this mutual dependency that we have on one another. We can't survive on our own. That's just not how society works. But Ibrahim alayhi salam was going to be the role model for all of humanity in one thing, and that is depending on Allah and Allah alone. So Allah made him in a way, He made him an ummah, so he doesn't depend on any other human being. He can be on his own, and he spent so much of his life entirely on his own. So much of his life was spent entirely on his own, just relying on Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the tests that he was given were such that even when, you know, in the most difficult circumstances where usually our ulama didn't say those kinds of extreme circumstances happen, you have an excuse. So for example, if your life is being threatened, some scholars even say you can, you know, take away your Islam and then take shahada. If you don't mean it by your heart to save your life, you can do that. If they're about to kill you and your family and things like that. But Ibrahim alayhi salam doesn't back away from that either. He's ready to jump into a fire. He's ready to do that. He's completely independent. And the only dependence he displays is that to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And so Allah made him an ummah in this way so that he could teach the rest of humanity. Maybe we can have some shred of the kind of tawakkul, the kind of reliance, the kind of friendship, the kind of intimacy he has when it comes to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And we are supposed to emulate that in some way, like we do, like Ibrahim alayhi salam showed us to do. Now, in this particular passage in Surah Al-Safat, one of the shortest ayat about Ibrahim alayhi salam, but probably the heaviest to internalize. If a Muslim, a believer, reflects on this ayah, it can be transformational for one's entire life. And it could be a goal you and I work towards our entire life and maybe never get there. Maybe only get halfway there. Allah Azza wa Jalla says about Ibrahim alayhi salam, إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. It's a very small phrase. إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. You know? When he came, the English translation says, when he came to his master with a sound heart. That's all it says. The English translation says, when he came to his master with a sound heart. But there's so much going on here. First and foremost, this idea of qalbun salim. Let me tell you a little bit about the word salim. Qalb is a commonly known word. It's the word in Arabic for the heart. And interestingly, in the Arabic language, the word heart or qalb, it's associated with the verb taqallub, which means change, alternation, something that's always moving and changing. It's taqallub. So, our hearts, by definition, even physically, they don't stay in one place, do they? They beat, they move. The heart moves, it doesn't stay in one place. Your bones stay in one place, your ribs stay in one place, your brain stays in one place. But the heart is constantly pushing its position. It's moving back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And even emotionally, even psychologically, we are constantly changing. Our feelings are constantly changing because the heart is the resting place of emotions, feelings, sentiments. So one moment you're angry, the other moment you calm down. You're stressed out and you feel better. You're really depressed and you feel happy. There are moments of happiness, but they don't last forever. You're worried about something, and the worry goes away, then the worry comes back again. People have episodes of depression. They have episodes of anxiety and things like that. The heart is constantly fluctuating. It's constantly fluctuating. It's unstable, you could say. Emotionally, the heart is unstable. Physically, it's a thing that Allah made unstable. It's constantly moving. And even emotionally, it's not something that stays in one position all the time. But there's one quality. Interestingly, if it is that by nature, then its qualities, the quality that should be given should also be unstable. But Allah Azza wa Jalla says salim. This is fa'il in Arabic. And words that sound like salim are constants. So Allah didn't say qalbin salim. إِذَا جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ salim. Didn't say salim, he said salim. There's a difference in Arabic between these two things. Salim also means sound, healthy. But salim means constant. He was at long-term peace. He was alright. Now let's talk a little bit about the word salim. Of course, Islam comes from the same origin. And many of you know the word Islam has the meanings of peace in it, has the meanings of submission in it, has the meanings of safety in it. The word salim in Arabic is used when something is undamaged. Like if a ship traveled and it went out in the sea and there was a storm And he came back, undamaged. The ship is Salima. It's fine. Nothing happened to it. And Salim literally implies safe from damage, safe from attack, safe from injury. Even to this day, they use in Arabic for health, they use Salim, meaning you're not sick, you're not injured, nothing's wrong with you, Salim. Even in a casual conversation, hey, how's Salim, alhamdulillah, I'm good, I'm alright, I'm doing okay, I'm healthy, you know? The word Salim here implies undamaged, undamaged. And if you think about that, the idea is that the heart, which is constantly moving, and therefore it's volatile, is susceptible to damage. It's susceptible to being damaged. But somehow he came before Allah Azza wa Jalla with a heart that was undamaged. So when we think about this ayah, and when we try to understand what Allah is telling us about Ibrahim alayhi salam's spiritual state, we have to try to understand what are the things that can damage a person's heart. What are the things that can damage a person's heart? I sincerely make dua, Allah gives all of us the health and the ability to make Hajj one day. If not this year, then the year after, but may Allah Azza wa Jalla give us in our list the ability to do the Hajj. And if we do the Hajj, you know what we're literally doing? We're coming to Allah. Look at how the ayah began. Ja'a Rabbahu. He came to his master. He came to his master. What are millions of people going to do when they go to Hajj this year? They're going to be coming to their master. Literally, the entire summary of Hajj is this one ayah. إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. When he came to his master with a heart that's clean, heart that's safe. So before we come, the heart has to be clean. We go there to clean our hearts, yes. We're going to Hajj. So many Muslims are going to Hajj to clean their hearts. It's a cleansing experience. It's a rebirth. But Allah Azza wa Jalla says actually He came with a clean heart. You can't go with a dirty heart. You have to go with a clean heart. That is why the advice given is seek forgiveness from friends and family. You know, pay off all your debts. Mend the wrongs. Mend the ties again of family. You know, back in the day, nowadays, subhanAllah, we have Hajj groups and packages and, you know, first class, and you got a hotel, and they'll set up your tent, and you can take the bus, or this or that. Even 2 generations ago, you tell somebody I'm going to Hajj, they get so happy and so sad at the same time. Because in their neighborhood in Pakistan, in India, in Bangladesh, in Egypt, when somebody goes to Hajj, 50% chance they're not coming back. There's a big likelihood because there's so much danger, there's so much sickness, there's so much difficulty in travel, then the difficulties and trials of Hajj itself, that people think of it like this is a farewell, this is my goodbye. I'm gone, you know? So they say their final goodbyes and they want to go with a heart at rest. They say, maybe I'll never see you again. So I just want to clear things up. Maybe this is the last time we're talking. This is the attitude of someone who's going to meet Allah. This is the attitude somebody says about the patient in the hospital, this patient is terminal. They're gone. They only have a few hours left. They have 2 days left. Then they start calling on the family. And they start saying, please forgive me. And you know, remember me in your dua, and they take care of my children. And they start taking care of their matters. They start closing all the cases. They're closing all the open files. You know? That's what they're doing before they're leaving. This is the idea behind which is I can die in peace. I can die knowing that I closed all those open cases. I tied all those loose ends. Everything is taken care of. Now I can go. You know, Yaqub alayhi salam, death is coming to him and he's worried about his children. Why is it that our ulama say, especially when you're about to go to Hajj, make sure you make your will. Make sure you make a will. Make sure you find that, sign up. Who's going to take care of the kids in case I die? How's my inheritance to be distributed? How's my estate to be distributed? Why? Because it's a realization. Yeah, you're going before Allah Azza wa Jalla. But this thing, at least your heart is at rest. So in these few minutes I have with you about this qalbun salim, which is at the heart of this conversation, I wanted to share 2 dimensions of it. On the one hand, our heart has to be healthy in the relationship it has with Allah. And on the other hand, the heart has to be healthy in the relationship it has with people. There's two dimensions of having a healthy heart. And our relationship with Allah is founded upon basically 2 things. It's a long conversation, but you can only remember 2 things. If you and I want to have a good relationship with Allah, it's only made up of 2 main things. 2 main things. One of them is remembering Allah. Remembering Allah. Remembering Allah doesn't just mean saying Subhanallah, Astaghfirullah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. That's also remembering Allah, but that's not what I mean. I mean remembering Allah when you're going into the office. Remembering Allah when you're in the elevator. Remembering Allah when you're at the mall. Remembering Allah when you're about to make a business deal. Is this the deal Allah wants me to make or no? Remembering Allah when you're sitting in the airplane. Remembering Allah when you go shopping. Remembering Allah when you turn the TV on. When you go on the computer. When you check your email. When you're about to post something. When you're about to send a text message. Remembering Allah is the foundation of our relationship with Him. How many people remember Allah in the things they do and how many people don't? So many du'as our Prophet taught us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The du'a to go into the house, the du'a to leave the house, the du'a to change your clothes, the du'a to eat your food and finish your food, the du'a to meet somebody and say goodbye to somebody, go into the bathroom and come out of the bathroom, the du'a to get into your travel and get to your destination. Why? Because the point of it is, don't find yourself in anything that you're doing that you're not remembering Allah. The point of it all is, don't forget Allah in your life. That's one half of my relationship with Allah. If you and I are not taking care of that, and by the way, this is not about knowledge. It's not about being like an expert in the Arabic language or mastering tafsir of the Quran or knowing books and books of fiqh. It's not about that. It's very simple. Just remember Allah when you're about to do things in your daily affairs. You and I have to do those things, and no matter how advanced the brain gets, the heart still fluctuates. So some days you remember Allah a lot, and some days you and I don't remember Allah much at all. Those are not good days for us. So we have to become a people of the remembrance of Allah. That's number one. And number two is talking to Allah. Is talking to Allah. Not just remembering Him, talking to Him, making dua to Him. The teachings of dua, the point of dua, is actually to converse with Allah Azza wa Jalla, to believe that He's actually listening. You know? When you're talking to somebody, obviously you believe they're there. When you're talking to somebody on the phone, and you can hear that they're talking back to you, you keep the conversation going. The moment you say, Awaz nahi aa rahi, I can't hear you, there's a bad connection, you stop talking, because you know they can't hear you. They can't hear you anymore. Psychologically, even genuinely talking to Allah in dua. You know, some of us, many of us actually, since childhood, we memorize du'as. We memorize du'as that we make all the time. We memorize these du'as and we say them all the time. But actually, when we're saying them, we're just saying them. We're not talking to Allah. You don't just say that dua, you talk to Allah with that dua. You converse with Him. And that takes a level of belief, a real conviction that Allah is in fact listening to me and responding to what I'm saying. And I tell you, even if you don't know those supplications and those du'as by heart, and you're driving to work and you're stuck in traffic, nobody else is in the car, when you turn the radio off, it's okay. The election will come and go. It's okay. You don't have to know all the details. It's alright. Take that time to just talk to Allah. And it's okay, you can talk to Him in English, Punjabi, Urdu, Bangla, it's okay. You can talk to Him. Talk to Him about how you need to do better. How you've messed up. How you need forgiveness. How you need His help. How you need His help with your son who's giving you trouble. How you need His help with your wife whose relationship with you is not going so well. How you need His help in talking to your father in a more respectful tone. How you need His help in becoming a more patient person. How you need His help in keeping your job and so that you can provide for your children. Talk to Him. Talk to Him directly. These are the two foundations of our relationship with Allah. The first one was, again, remembering Allah. And the second was talking to Him in dua. And by the way, both of them come together in salat. Both of them. We remember Allah in salat, and salat begins with dua. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. We speak to Allah. We ask Him for something. It's supposed to remind us that once you get out of here, keep this up. Keep remembering me, and keep asking me. Those are the two things. This is what will give you and me a sound heart. I tell you, I can guarantee you, you begin this practice in your life. You start addressing Allah Azza wa Jalla in dua sincerely. You will find a different level of peace in your heart. You'll find this can't be proven to you in a textbook. There's no way to quantify it. There's no proofs for it, but the proof will be you yourself. You will feel something you've never felt before. You have to experience this yourself. I can't make you experience it, and you can't make me experience it. This is the one who comes to Allah themselves with a healthy heart. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. But then there's the second dimension of cleaning our hearts. And that's the relationships we have with people. You know, some of us, we all have different personalities. Allah Azza wa Jalla made us that way. And not all personalities get along with other people. And sometimes Allah put very different personalities in the same household. So there's a lot of fireworks at home. There's a lot of fireworks between friends. There's communication gaps. Sometimes you say something, you don't mean anything by it, but the person listening to you says, what'd you say? Why'd you say that? And they understand something completely different from what you meant. And problems happen in communication. And feelings are developed towards the other. And people stop talking to each other. Why is it that our Messenger ﷺ instructs us with such tough stance? Don't let 3 days go by and you don't share salams with each other. Why is that? Because the longer you stay away, the harder hearts get towards each other. Now, the hearts get harder. So you have to maintain clear, open communication. And the biggest problem, and I tell you that's the best training, if you've got a good marriage going on and open communication with your wife, probably all your other relationships will be alright. Probably, because that's the hardest one. That is the hardest one. Allah Azza wa Jalla, the khutbah of nikah even. In the ayat that the Messenger would recite sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he would perform nikah, the handful of ayat from Quran, you have to wonder, the entire Quran is guidance of Allah. When two people are getting married, Allah's Messenger picks a couple of ayat. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. Have taqwa of Allah and speak straightforward talk. Don't speak in code. Don't say what you don't mean. Don't say what you don't mean. And that begins with assalamu alaikum. When you say assalamu alaikum, that means there's no fight between you and me. We're at peace. So when you come home and wife says assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, then you don't know what, that's not qawlan sadid. That's not clear, straightforward speech. You didn't mean peace when you said peace. You didn't mean it. And if you start meaning what you say, and Allah makes us end fights because He makes us say assalamu alaikum. You know how profound that is? By the way, إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Same rule. You're safe from me, I'm safe from you. I wish for safety for you. I wish for peace for you. I pray that Allah showers you with peace. And you say, yeah, you too. I pray that, we're at peace with each other and with Allah. We're actually making dua for each other's hearts even when we say salam to one another. Allah makes us end quarrels if we mean what we say. And if we don't mean what we say, then we become the nation لِمَا تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Why do you say what you don't mean, what you don't do? You don't do it, but you say it. The communication between each other has to get cleaned up. And it has to happen from now. Now some people, subhanAllah, they have a tendency to come across as harsh. They're not mean, but they're raised in a certain way. They just have a loud voice. What can they do? They can't help themselves. So it sounds like they're being mean even if they're not being mean. Some people sound like they have an attention span problem. So you're talking to them and they get distracted, they'll start talking to somebody else. And you feel like, this guy just ignored what I was talking about, just look at someone else. How rude can you be? But they have an attention span problem. They don't pay attention. Sometimes they're not paying attention. This even happened among the Sahaba, you know that? Among the Sahaba radiallahu anhu ajma'in. Umar radiallahu anhu went by and said salam to Uthman radiallahu anhu. He didn't say wa alaikum salam. Umar got really upset. He took him all the way to Abu Bakr Siddiq. I said salam to him, he didn't respond. I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. This happens. But you know what these things do? They build ill feelings in the heart. And they could be small things and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Ibrahim alayhi salam comes to his master with a sound heart. When we're going to Allah, when we're going to meet with Him at the Hajj, and may Allah accept the Hajj of all that are going. When we're going to meet with Him, we have to make sure our hearts are sound, which means we seek the forgiveness of those we've wronged. We acknowledge our own flaws and say, look, I tend to have this problem. I acknowledge I have this problem. And because of that I've hurt you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And maybe I didn't even mean to, but I apologize, it shouldn't happen again. I want us to be at peace with each other. Because these quarrels that we have are insignificant compared to what's coming. In conclusion, I want to leave you with something I find just absolutely fascinating. It's really fascinating. I'm grateful Allah I can make this last lesson easy for you to understand. This is part of the jamal, the beauty of the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jalla says about Ibrahim alayhi salam, إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. The verb used is ja'a. And ja'a in Arabic gets translated in the English translation as came. Came. But another word in the Arabic language, ata, is used. Ata, also to come. And interestingly, another place in the Quran, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ, Surah Al-An'am. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Allah says the day of judgment will be the one on which no children and no money will benefit you, except the one who comes to Allah with a healthy heart. Two places in the Quran, Qalbun Salim is mentioned. Once with Ibrahim alayhi salam, once with a believer that comes before Allah on Judgment Day. But when Ibrahim alayhi salam was described as coming before Allah, Allah used Ja'a. And when Allah talked about the believer coming before Allah on Judgment Day, Allah used Ata. In Surah Al-An'am, He used Ata. Linguists argue about the difference between Ja'a and Ata, and there's pretty much consensus that Ja'a is more difficult. Coming is coming. I came to the store, I came to the city. You came there. But when something big comes, something difficult comes, something that wasn't expected to come comes, something comes after crossing a lot of hurdles, something that was being waited for a long time finally comes, then you use Ja'a. Ja'a is not just casually coming. العربية المعاصرة ليس هناك فرق بين جاء وأتى حينما نتكلم ليس هناك فرق. In modern Arabic, when we speak, there's no difference. Ja'a and Ata. In Quran, there's a difference. In Old Arabic, there's a difference. When something comes after a lot of trenches and hurdles and difficulties, then Ja'a is used. When something comes casually, easily, without a problem, then Ata is used. And Ata is used. Now, think about this. Ibrahim alayhi salam came to Allah with a sound heart, but Allah used Ja'a because it's not easy to have a sound heart, a heart free of worrying and fear and anxiety when you have to put the knife to your son's neck. It's not easy to have no anxiety when you're about to be thrown into a fire. It's not easy to have anxiety when you're kicked out of your own home. It's not easy to have anxiety when you're like a teenager and the entire village is staring at you like they're ready to kill you. أنت فعلت هذا يا إبراهيم? You did this? You destroyed all these idols? They're all staring at this 15-year-old kid. You don't think he's scared? But even then, to be able to have a sound heart, be at peace, because he knows my master is taking care of me. That's no small accomplishment. Allah uses the word Ja'a. But the real gift in the Quran is when Allah talks about you and me. May Allah grant all of us a sound, healthy heart. Allah says on Judgment Day, we come before Allah and we come casually. Ata Allah. The one who comes before Allah with a sound heart. Now no, Judgment Day is full of difficulties. We read about that all the time. It's full of difficulties. But the one who has a healthy heart will come casually, come without difficulties. SubhanAllah. All the difficulties were already done in this world. Getting your heart clean, all the effort that needed was done here. The Ja'a requiring the effort was already covered here. When you get before Allah on Judgment Day, now it's time to relax. Now you're in His shade, subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. So in this last minute, this beautiful comparison is one thing I wanted to share with you. And finally, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, coming to Allah it implies a journey. Allah didn't just say aslama biqalbin salim. He submitted to Allah. He believed in Allah with a sound heart. He said he came to Allah. Coming requires you leave somewhere, you go somewhere else. It's like a migration, like the people at Hajj make. It's a migration. You physically get up and go. Well, our hearts need to get up and go. You can't be where you are today spiritually tomorrow. You and I have to make a migration to Allah. We have to come to Him. He's waiting for us to come to Him. And in the word Ja'a, already it is known, if Ibrahim alayhi salam had to make that effort, you and I will have to make that effort too. It's not going to be easy. It doesn't come on its own. That peace of heart that you and I want so badly, it's not going to come without effort. We have to put work in it. We have to put that work in it. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make all of us those that start traveling towards Allah with their speech, with their thoughts, with their remembrance, with their actions. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make the relationship we have with Allah stronger by means of remembering Him and making dua to Him. And may Allah make the relationship we have with each other full of Allah's blessings by means of clear speech, that we don't offend others, and we don't take offense from what others say. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wal dhikr. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يقول الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله رحمكم الله، اتقوا الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله